WCBI News at 10 starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Al Lee Martin. An American student held for a year and a half by North Korea has died less than a week after his release. CBS's Mola Lange has the latest.
Otto Warmbier died Monday afternoon in Ohio, days after North Korea released him in a coma. The University of Virginia college student was sentenced to 15 years in prison with hard labor in North Korea after he was convicted of taking down a government propaganda poster. Warmbier's family released a statement saying, "Unfortunately, the awful, torturous mistreatment our son received at the hands of the North Koreans ensured that no other outcome was possible beyond the sad one we experienced today." President Trump commented on Warmbier's passing here at the White House.
At least we got him home to be with his parents, where they were so happy to see him, even though he was in very tough condition, but he just passed away a little while ago. It's a brutal regime.
After his hour-long trial in February of 2016, Warmbier begged the North Korean government to release him.
Please, I have made the worst mistake of my life, but please, act to save me.
Warmbier was held for more than 17 months before he was medically evacuated from North Korea last week in a coma. The North Korean government said the young man had suffered from botulism and taken a sleeping pill leading to the coma. But doctors in the U.S. said he returned with severe brain damage, and they could find no evidence of active botulism. Doctors at the University of Cincinnati said before he died, Warmbier was in a state of unresponsive wakefulness, but could not understand language. Warmbier was 22 years old. Mola Lange, CBS News, the White House.
And at least 3 Americans and 1 Canadian are currently being held by that regime. Former U.S. Ambassador to the UN Bill Richardson offered last week to visit North Korea to secure their release. Well, it's time to take a first look at the forecast. We go to Chief Meteorologist Keith Gibson. Keith?
Hey, Allie, some great color in the sky this evening. Look at that from Sulligent, Alabama. The setting sun, some of those friendly clouds after the showers and thunder showers we had earlier in the day. And look at that out towards Eupora, too. Absolutely amazing. Now, we still have some rain showers, some thunder showers holding on here. Far eastern Noxubee County, parts of southern Pickens County, Alabama. A lot of this is going to go away here shortly, but yes, there's still a little bit of rain out there. We are in the 70s. It's a warm and humid night. Tomorrow back into the mid-80s, a mix of clouds and sun with still a chance for a little bit of rain. The full forecast in just a few minutes.
All right, thank you much. Well, when you think of a church, you usually think of it as a place of worship and praise. But lately, some criminals have been seeing them as easy targets. Our Quentin Smith speaks with a pastor and a sheriff about things churches can do to protect themselves. He joins us live with more. Quentin?
Allie, sadly enough, it's becoming a common thing to hear about church break-ins. In fact, just a few weeks ago, a church here in Columbus was broken into and robbed. I spoke with the local pastor, and he calls it an ungodly act for someone to steal from the Lord's house.
People have lost their spiritual morals when it comes to God.
Randy Randall has been a pastor in Columbus for 5 years now and says the recent news about people breaking into churches is a little unsettling.
When they break in the house of the Lord, something that's supposed to be holy ground and it's supposed to be a sanctuary, for a safe haven for you, it makes you fearful.
Randall is the pastor at Community-Wide Outreach Ministry and admits smaller churches are usually an easy target for burglars.
I think that's what they target mostly, churches that's off to themselves and maybe not have a lot of lighting around it, and it's easy access.
Churches are an easy target, of course, but you know, there's nobody there other than at church time or Sunday school time, or if they're having a gospel meeting.
However, to help combat this problem, Monroe County Sheriff Cecil Cantrell says his deputies regularly check in on all of the local churches. They also leave door hangers like this one to send a message to the bad guys.
The piano or organ or guitars or whatever they have in there, speaker systems or whatever, that's an easy sell to other people or traded for drugs or whatever. And a lot of people do that.
Pastor Randall says he desperately wants to see this cycle come to an end and has this advice for churches to protect themselves from break-ins.
What we need to do is get out and meet and greet the people first and foremost, and then build a relationship with them, and then they'll be our eyes. You know, they'll watch the church, they'll make sure the church is okay.
Make sure the doors are locked. Make sure the windows are locked. Make sure your security system is up to date. Make sure you got everything working properly.
And we can do more by making sure we got better security lights up, street lights, or whatever we can to make the church noticed, even in the night.
Now, if a person breaks into a church and is caught, they can be charged with the burglary of a church and can face felony charges as well as jail time. Allie, back to you.
All right, sad situation. Well, there is no age discrimination when it comes to drowning. It can happen to anyone, anywhere, or anytime. Our Jory Talley talked to some experts today and found that some hazards increase depending on where you swim.
You can swim anywhere where there's water, but each body of water is different, and drowning is always a risk.
If you notice them, you're going to see that they're struggling to swim, they're struggling in the water. You can't really hear them. It's silent. They slip under, and then you see them underneath.
The biggest mistake for swimmers is underestimating how strong a current can be.
The faster the water is moving, the harder it is to control your being able to stand or swim in it. So you have to think that only 6 inches of water can move a vehicle. So that moving water is a whole different animal than a static swimming area.
One danger of swimming in creeks is that the terrain can change from one week to the next.
A constant flow of water changes the conditions of the surface underneath the water. So where you used to wade out and it was only an ankle or knee deep just a few months before, could be up to 12 feet deep presently. So you just don't know, and that unpredictability leads to a lot of drownings.
Columbus Fire and Rescue Assistant Chief Dwayne Hughes says rainfall doesn't make it any better.
This time of year we've got a tremendous amount of rainfall, which leads to cloudy water conditions. Visibility is very low. And you also have to consider with that rise in water a lot of debris, a lot of entrapment issues as far as these natural bodies of water.
Captain Wes Mills says creek rescues are a danger, even for the trained dive team.
One of the most popular swimming areas in the county is probably the Lawrence Bridge area north of Caledonia. And we usually go at least once a year there because the current in that area is extremely fast. And we have actually had responders have to be pulled from the water down there too, so it's a very dangerous area.
And here are a few tips to prevent drowning. Be aware of your surroundings and know if the conditions in the water have changed, especially after heavy rains. Wear flotation devices while out swimming in these types of waters, and always make sure that kids have supervision.
Well, speaking of heavy rain, it is possible again later this week. Not so much for the next 2 days. Low-end rain chances relative to where we have been and where we may go later this week with that system in the Gulf of Mexico. More on that after the break.
Your First Alert weather forecast with Chief Meteorologist Keith Gibson.
Can you believe that summer officially begins in just about 24 hours? Let's just say 25 hours from now, give or take. Tomorrow evening, let's just say, we have summer coming back. Now, this is our Alpha Insurance time lapse from Columbus this evening. Easy for me to say, right? All right, look at that great sunset right there. Absolutely amazing. Some friendly clouds, the setting sun, some great color in the sky again today. Hopefully you got out there and you saw that firsthand. There was the view earlier from Lamar County, Alabama, and also over here in Octok, Mississippi, right there, the burst of color with the setting sun. But let's go up to Illinois. Our own meteorologist Jacob Dickey up there, going back home to Illinois for the weekend. You can see that double rainbow. Speaking of the rain, we had some rain around here, especially south of Highway 82, over here towards the I-20-59 corridor. There was a little bit of rain over there in the Golden Triangle area, but we still have some rain ongoing right now. South and east of Macon towards Aliceville down into Kemper County. This is trying to move back to the west and southwest. This will eventually weaken and go away during the overnight hours, but This is now circulating back to the west and southwest around this gigantic circulation that is ongoing down in the Gulf of Mexico. Already some of that rain with that tropical entity trying to swirl back into Florida. The actual center of this thing is out here in the Gulf, kind of ragged looking right now, but there's a big shield of rain on the eastern side of that, and that's all going to be coming somewhere into the lower 48. You can see the actual track of this potential system. It's still not classified as a storm. We may not get it, we may get it, we'll see. But the big story here is going to be the heavy rainfall potential. Now tomorrow, you can see that good rain going down there along the Gulf Coast. We will have a chance on the northern fringe of that tomorrow afternoon, a 20% chance for a little bit of rain. Now, the exact track on this thing is still uncertain. We expect it to go more back to the west and northwest over time, and some of that heavier rain may get back up here in the northeast Mississippi and into west Alabama. So that is why we have some of these elevated rain chances. Now, tomorrow the rain chance is about 20%. We start out in the 70s, back into the 80s as we get into the course of the afternoon. So another warm and steamy day. Here's that 7-day forecast. You can see elevated rain chances Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It could be a washout here. We'll wait and see. We may not get a lot. It all depends on that storm track. High stay in the 80s. Allie?
All right, thank you much. It may be the off season, but a pair of softball stars have just signed on to take their skills to the next level. Tom has details later on in sports. And welcome back. Biting insects can be more than just a summertime nuisance. They can also carry dangerous diseases, and kids can be at a greater risk. We find out more in tonight's Health Talk with Baptist.
Why do babies and children need insect repellent? Hi, I'm Dr. Andrea Morris, pediatrician at Baptist Memorial Hospital, Golden Triangle. I want to talk to you tonight about insect repellent and your children. Now that warmer weather is here, that means more bugs, mosquitoes, biting flies, and ticks, which can make children miserable. Once considered just a nuisance, we now know that insect bites can often lead to serious medical problems. Not only can certain insects and ticks spread diseases like West Nile virus, Lyme disease, and Rocky Mountain spotted fever, the bites themselves can become infected with bacteria like MRSA or antibiotic-resistant staph. Although most parents know that they can use insect repellent on their older children, many are surprised that it's considered safe to use most insect repellents on infants aged 2 months and older to prevent bites from mosquitoes and other insects. But how do you know which ones are safe? In general, the best insect repellent provides enough protection against biting insects and ticks for your child, and that usually depends on how much time your child will be outside. Insect repellents containing DEET have been tested and approved as safe for kids, but it is important to use them carefully and correctly. The amount of DEET varies, but the American Academy of Pediatrics recommends that products for children should contain no more than 30% DEET. Read labels and always be sure to follow all directions and precautions. Join us next time for Health Talk with Baptist, when we will discuss how to safely apply insect repellent to babies and children.
Mail your topic suggestions to healthtalk@wcbi.com. Health Talk has been brought to you by Baptist Memorial Hospital, Golden Triangle.
Well, it's time for stop number 1 of WCBI's high school football tour. We're running with the Vardaman Rams coming up next in sports.
WCBI Sports with Tom Ebel.
In Vardaman, playoff appearances are expected. After a 3-year drought, the Rams return to the postseason and are looking to keep it that way in 2017. The long wait is over. The Vardaman Rams are stop number 1 in the 2017 high school football tour.
WCBI's 60 Schools in 60 Days is brought to you by Toyota, Let's Go Places, and Emerson Animal Hospital, where your pets are family in West Point.
It's real clear now, the expectations and what it takes to reach that level of playoff contention and a winning season. We have the same goals most everybody else does.
Momentum is gaining in Vardaman. Head coach Larry Gann and the Rams returned to the postseason in 2016, finishing above 500 for the first time since 2012. A new division awaits the Rams in 2017 as Vardaman jumps from Region 1 to Region 3 in 1A for the upcoming season.
We're in unfamiliar territory with our division games outside of West Lowndes and Hamilton. So the unknown part of it is makes you a little apprehensive, but we feel good about the kids we've got coming back.
15 seniors returned for Coach Gann, 11 of those being starters from a year ago.
Our goal this season is just to make it further in the playoffs than last year and learn from the mistakes we made that cost us big games last year.
Fundamentals, strength, speed, anything that we can improve in, we are improving in, and I see it in the weight room, out on the field, everywhere.
This year's senior class has been a part of the rebuilding of Rams football. The players know what they do in the offseason will help lay the groundwork for future success.
I just hope we have a winning season and make it to the playoffs. Our goal is not to go to the championship yet, it's just step by step to get there.
While Vardaman fans await that first championship, they'll continue to root for a Rams revival. Senior Dylan Williams says last season's success energized the hometown crowd.
The town of Vardaman has really increased their support for our football program. Last year we made our playoff appearance. I have to say we had some of the best crowds at our home game that we've seen in a while.
The Rams kick off the 2017 season with a road trip to South Pontotoc on August 17th. In Vardaman with the Rams, Tom Ebel, WCBI Sports. Coming up throughout this week, we stick with 1A West Lowndes Panthers coming up tomorrow, TCPS on Wednesday, Nanawai Warriors, they're on Thursday, and Noxapater coming up on Friday. And then to next week, I should say throughout the weekend, staying in 1A, Thrasher Rebels and Hamilton Lions. They're what you can enjoy on the weekend. And then Monday and Tuesday of next week, travel to Smithville and Okolona to check in on those high school teams. ICC softball All-Americans Mamie Hollenhead and Alex Brown will stay teammates for one more season as both signed to continue their softball careers with North Alabama. The East Webster grad Hollenhead led the Indians in batting average, hits, and RBIs. And Ponatoc's own Brown led the Indians in stolen bases, while also leading the country in being hit by a pitch for the second straight year.
Well, as soon as I went on my visit, it really just felt like home to me. Kind of like how when I came here to ICC, as soon as I got here, just like a sense of family here. So when I got there, I knew that's where I needed to be because it's just like a huge family over there.
I'm just glad to have this opportunity to further my softball career and play with Mamie another time.
MUW Baseball announces its inaugural class for the 2017-2018 season. Some familiar faces are among the commits. 35 commitments for MUW. James Clark from Columbus by way of Northwest, Heath Ford, West Point, Lucas Hardigan from Tupelo, and Brandon Jones from Heritage Academy. A little connection there. And then also Anthony Sharp as well as Lucas Murphy from Fulton. You can see the full roster on our website, WCBI.com. Last look at your forecast is next.
Well, if you felt the ground shake in Tupelo this afternoon, it wasn't an earthquake, just the rumble of a couple hundred V8 engines. More than 200 Trans Amazon Firebirds are eastbound and down from Texarkana, Arkansas to Atlanta for the 11th annual Bandit Run. The week-long muscle cart caravan celebrates the movie classic Smokey and the Bandit, and today it pulled in for a pit stop at the Tupelo Automobile Museum.
The black and gold Trans Am is it's like not only iconic of the movie, but the features, the body lines, and the mechanics of the car in and of itself. You know, for me and a lot of the enthusiasts, it was a car that was ahead of its time.
This is the 40th anniversary of Smokey and the Bandit. It ranked second at the box office in 1977 behind that other movie, Star Wars.
All right, weather-wise, we're looking at some warm and humid temperatures for the next week. Highs mainly in the 80s. Not too much rain for the next 2 days, but we're watching that Gulf system. Could be a lot of moisture later this week. Not definite here, but there could be some more rain on the way.
All right, first day of summer tomorrow. Thank you much for spending part of your evening